From CRI Simple Numbers, this is Profitability Playbook, the Simple Numbers Podcast, a podcast for those championing market growth and anchoring the nation's economy, small businesses, and entrepreneurs.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Simple Numbers Profitability Playbook Podcast. I'm Mike Maxon. That's Brandon Gray. And man, we're just coming off a long weekend, man. How was yours?
I've had better.
Yeah.
I can tell by the voice. Had a tough game Friday night. The high school team I worked with, and then the Alabama of last year showed up for the first game, even though we were all told and bought into believing that we were going to play with mental and physical toughness and intensity and dominate our opponents. You know what you expect from Alabama football, and instead we saw none of that. So we'll see where it goes from here.
I was gonna call and text you, but I just was like, I don't need Brandon hating me.
Probably a good decision.
Yeah.
I was running on hate there for all times.
Yeah, I knew what you were gonna say without having to find out that way. But I will say this: my son's football team, and he's 9, and last year his team didn't win a game, and so far this year we've lost 2, and then they won 1.
All right.
And on defense, he had like 5 tackles, recovered a fumble. He was a machine. He played a great offensive line. They ran 1 touchdown right over his back, man. He just sealed the kid off, bam, right up the middle for a touchdown run. And he played tough. And it was like, what was awesome is it was like winning the Super Bowl. Man.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. And I will see this, though, and people down here aren't from Alabama, obviously, people listening, but, man, you get some of these outskirts of these country out. This is no joke in kid size. Like, my son is a good-sized 9-year-old. He looks like he should be a middle linebacker, but he has to play offensive, defensive line. But, man, you get out in some of these towns, man, these feed these kids good. And when my son, who is a gray black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he's a solid size, and he's up to kids' chests in full gear, and you're just going, what are they feeding these kids out here? Fried chicken and mac and cheese, obviously.
And you have a diet that comes from the gas station and put on the pounds.
And we finally played against a team that was like their size. Like we were equal to in size, and we whooped them. Yeah. And that's all we needed was to play like a similar size team. So it was good, man. I mean, it didn't take away because I was following. The Tide was going on at the same time. And so it was, you saw a lot of disappointment. If those kids wouldn't have won, a lot of disappointed men wearing Alabama stuff.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to talk about I wouldn't say we're all over the map today, but we really want to get into a quick topic on labor efficiency. And then we want to move into a topic around it. What are you investing in outside of your business? Because we get a lot of those questions. But let's start off with the first thing. Brandon, what you wanted to talk about was, how frequently should we measure direct labor efficiency? And there's a lot of context and a lot of things that don't apply here because sometimes it works and you can apply it very frequently. And then other times it might be on a monthly basis. So
exactly.
Kick us off.
Yeah. So the question about DLER is one that we discussed with our peer group. So part of being a Simple Numbers clients is a lot of our clients get to take advantage of being in a peer group of other Simple Numbers clients. And so, we take companies that are either similar in size or industry, our business model, put them together. Then once a quarter, we jump on a call and discuss things that are impacting the business. This topic is one that we've discussed about how frequently are you tracking direct labor efficiency. And so best practice is every time you're running payroll. Now, if you're running payroll monthly, you want to try to look at it in between those, obviously, but most folks are either bi-monthly or bi-weekly. Handful are going to be weekly. The biggest challenge in doing this is you got to have the data to look at it. A lot of the times, the biggest the hurdle you're trying to overcome is, well, what is the labor spend? Well, if I run it every time I run payroll, I know what my labor spend is. So that's why we adopted that rhythm. The second thing you got to do is you got to know what your gross margin looks like every 2 weeks if you're running it on that 2-week basis. And this is where perfect becomes the enemy of finished. We're not looking to nail to the penny what DLER looks like every 2 weeks. We are estimating to try to get a direction of where it's headed so that I can make adjustments. So if I know what I've sold over the past 2 weeks and I know generally what my gross margin looks like, then bam, that's going to be close enough. I know gross margin percentage, I know my sales, I know my labor, bam, I can divide my gross margin by my labor. That's going to give me DLER. So then you go, okay, well, why look at that? We are not fans of data for the sake of data. I've got to have data that allows me to take action. So if that DLER is lower than your target, I know I've got 2 weeks left in the month to adjust something. Whether I got to generate more margin dollars, I got to flex direct labor hours, perhaps do both. It also kind of forces your team to be proactive in planning ahead. So years ago, I worked at an HVAC company. And we didn't realize that we were looking at DLER every 2 weeks, but in essence, we were. We'd meet with our sales team on Monday and go, what do we got on the books this week? He'd say, hey, we're full through Wednesday. Okay, well, we've either got to fill in Thursday and Friday, or we would communicate to the team on Monday, hey, guys, we may be leaving early on Friday. Because depending on what workflow look like and the jobs look like, if we don't fill in the calendar, we're going to leave early on Friday. So it allows us to flex that labor in real time versus what most folks do is you get to the end of the month, you look at DLER 2 weeks later and you go, whoa, we ran off the road 6 weeks ago. Well, a lot of time's passed. So
I'll give you all an example. And I think sometimes the real life examples can help you see where we're going with this. So, one thing about me is I really managed the firm until we merged with Car Rig. So Brandon and Greg always had me running all over the place like a dog, but we'll talk about that another time.
good time.
But abuse everybody. But I liked it, so I'm still here. Anyways, we would track labor efficiency on a 2-week basis. So what I would do is I would go into the system and I would see the time, and you could see by basically going, hey, here is everybody's time, their rate, and there was a total. So for example, Brandon put in 40 hours that week. He billed 38 at this rate. That was his total. Well, you do that for everybody and you add up. So you knew how much was billed to a client at that time. Now, we all know that not everything hits an invoice, right? Brandon sometimes is slacking. He's slow. He's not good that day. So you have a realization rate. And maybe you realize of that $50,000 you billed that week, maybe 85% on average is your realization rate. Well, that means that's what's going to hit an invoice. And then obviously from there you have your cost rate of, hey, all these employees here working at their hourly rate, that's my cost. Bam, you have your labor efficiency. Now, you might bill a little higher that week. Maybe it's 90 that week. Maybe it's not. But if you are ballparking, at least from a general idea, and we could of saying, hey, we're going to realize 80, 85%, whatever it was at the time, I don't remember, you would have an idea. And you'd be surprised at checking that on. Remember, we always talk about rolling. And then what you do at the end is you measure that against actual, and you'll find within a couple months, you have a pretty solid idea of where you're going to be at. And then you just keep that going, and then you begin to track it. And next thing you know, man, you got a pattern, you got data, you got leveling out, you got all the things we talk about, rolling 12, rolling 3 analysis. And next thing you know, you can see things much quicker. And holy cow, we only billed $30,000 that week, or holy cow, I checked, and last 2 weeks ago, we only realized 60%. Like, what the heck's going on? And it gets you looking into things, gets you finding things. Remember, labor efficiency isn't the end all be all of it was bad, it's definitely a bad employee, or it was bad and it's definitely a bad client. It could be something as an out of scope project. It could be something as you had an additional request come in and people didn't put down their time, or there's all kinds of things in it. But what does it get you do? It gets you asking questions, or it gets you looking around to find that there could be a potential issue a lot quicker.
Now, and if you're in like the retail world or the hospitality food world, it's really difficult to determine what are the next 2 weeks going to look like, right? Well, that's where you can go back to your point of sale, same time last year. What were those 2 weeks last year? We have seasons, hey, everybody was out of town on vacation. It's the end of August, whatever it may be. Well, I kind of can take that into consideration too as I look at my labor efficiency. And if I got to adjust, what did it look like over that time? You might get the nail on the head. The first few times you do it, you're not going to be great at it. So don't pass too much judgment on it. Allow yourself some wiggle room. But the more you do it, the better you get at it, and you'll start to develop this rhythm of making decisions.
Good. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we touched on that because that's one thing we get all the time is how can you do it? And my last bit of advice, Brandon, to just close the book on this is, and this is not just for labor efficiency, but it applies to labor efficiency here. So it makes sense. You got to track data in your business. It's good to track time. We've said this on, I don't know how many episodes, and we might say this more than anything else. You got to figure out a way to measure things, and tracking time, tracking hours, whatever it is the best way to go about getting into that data. Hey, have I put time down to a client or to a project or what have you? Because the labor efficiency tracking just doesn't go down into not just overall as the business. I mean, you can get real granular. Hey, how am I on that client? How am I on that project? Because there's some people out there, I work with a couple of law firms that have really big clients that they do work for consistently, and they're putting time to that client all year. And, that's good to find out of going, hey, what's my margin on that client? Where's it going with that? Or if you have consistent projects that reoccur across many clients, how are we on, like in our world, we do initial planning sessions with businesses. How are we doing on our financial planning sessions? Is our labor efficiency on that stuff working? So keep tracking and try to track as much as you can in your business. Obviously not to the detriment of killing productivity, but everyone should be able to enter their time to things. Well, cool.
Let's talk about insurance next.
Oh yeah. This is where we get into what are you investing in outside? Is that outside your business or is that?
We'll do that one last.
Oh, okay. This is still other stuff. Okay.
Yeah. The other question, because this has been a real hot button topic around insurance. I know everybody gets excited. All right, insurance renewal. So we asked the question of how do you shop insurance? What's your process? The best answer that was given is one of the CEOs. He says, "Well, my vice president does all that." So you delegated all of that. But here's kind of the takeaway. If you see each year your agent is bringing you the same company to renew with, that's a flag. Now, that might be the best company, but you need to ask questions around that. Hey, did you shop this? What are the quotes from the other company? What type of packages did they come back whenever you ask for quotes? You're wanting to watch two things here. So one, making sure that I'm getting a good idea of where the market is. And we got story after story after story of agents just got sloppy, got lazy, got content, whatever. They didn't put it out to different carriers. You challenge them on it, they come to a different carrier, and you get the same as, if not better coverage. So value-wise, it increases for less money. So make sure it's being shopped. The second thing is you need to make sure you're revisiting your coverage limits. And we can tell you horror stories about this one to where, you got the policies maybe 2 years ago. It was just wash, rinse, and repeat the application. No one was increasing your coverage levels and your business is doubled or tripled. And then something happens and you don't have enough coverage. So you need to really check that, make sure that your coverage, insurance. I kind of like what some of the comedians say, they basically say you're placing a bet with an insurance company, like automobile insurance. You're betting that you're going to get in a wreck. And the insurance company is going, no, I don't think you're going to. And if you give me X amount of money per month, we'll make the bet. That's kind of essentially what it is. But like I said, get multiple quotes. If your agent's not doing their job, get someone else involved. Because what we've been seeing on the surface is that general liability, workman's comp, those kind of things, they're up like 15 to 20% from last year. And health insurance looks to be going up about 10 to 15. So it's a big ticket item. Mike, any thoughts on that?
No, it's the cost of it. And I mean, it's one of those things when anytime I do like an annualized review of expenses and things like that with clients, you see that big jump and you're going, I bet that's insurance. It's just something, it's just like guaranteed, like
Easy one to go find.
yeah, one of those like, oh my God, it's up $10,000, something like that. And I just think that um regardless of whether, there's always the process and what you do is it just start off by doing it. Just start off by looking and we have resources here at CRI if you're a client of ours, or you can look at one of our portfolio companies. There are companies out there that do this for you. There are companies out there. Look, you just got to call somebody and they'll point you in the right direction. And us as advisors, obviously we don't mess with insurance here, but we can point you in the right direction to get you talking to someone and going, hey, is there a better option here for you? And sometimes it's just that. But every year it's going to go up and every year you have no rhyme or reason and they'll never tell you why or anything like that. So just have it on your calendar of going, hey, every year is a recurring thing. I got to look at this and see if there's a better option.
Let's talk subject matter experts, Mike. So how are your clients using subject matter experts?
Yeah, I've been really impressed lately. This is probably across my client base, the biggest push towards people really finally engaging outside consultants more. And that can be on a anything. They've gone away from, oh, I found this really good guy, I'm gonna hire him.
Right.
They finally realized that, like, hey, I could bring someone in. And if they don't do a good job, I just move on. And maybe that person can get a process in place, set the strategy, and then I can hire someone internally. But a lot of small businesses, and I've been advocating this, I love you all. I really do. Most of the time in y'all's business, there isn't, I say y'all way too much. I ain't from here. They in you people's business, there isn't enough. You Alabamians are killing me. There isn't enough of something to do. I mean, like, oh, I'm hiring a director of sales. It's like you only have 1 million in sales. I mean, why don't we get someone in there to do this? And I've been impressed that this is the first time where people have done it. And I think it's been their involvement in business groups. I think it's their picking up of other people that have done it. But I'm across my client base, the engagement of the technical experts, subject matter experts, and things like that has been the highest I've seen it since I've been doing this.
Yeah, I mean, Mike hit the nail on my head, and I'll give you 2 examples from clients that we work with. So as companies grow, you start planning out positions that you need. And one of the popular ones that we hear is a CRO, Chief Revenue Officer. And I've had a couple of examples toward them. These were thriving companies. They hire a CRO, they come in, they do great work for about 6 to 9 months. I mean, sales processes, target customer, work on some of the soft skills with the team, the way you're presenting, you name it, all, cover everything sales-related. And after 6 to 9 months, they put a lot of really great things in place, and they're sitting there going, what do we do next? And the owners of the company are going, what are you going to do next? But guess what? There's not really anything left to do right now. We got to put this in place, see how it works, and then adjust accordingly after some time. And so you got somebody on the payroll that is, they're not cheap, making a lot of money that isn't really producing very much. So in hindsight, both companies would have said, you know what? We should have hired a subject matter expert, engaged them for 6 months, put the system and process in place. Then we might need someone that maybe wasn't so senior level to come in and kind of help along the lines of that once the process was put in place and what have you and implemented. And you can turn off that large spend. So we're seeing this across the board, whether it's sales, marketing, operations, technically, for whatever line of business that you're in. Use the resource as you need them, which likely isn't going to be full time.
Love it. All right, now we getting in outside our business.
Let's talk about investing outside your business.
There you go. All right, so we have some good things here. Now, the first one is I'm going to be pathetic on this one, but it's what books, podcasts, etc. do you recommend? Now, first of all, if you're not listening to Simple Numbers Profitability Playbook podcast, you're just wrong. So we're just going to assume that that's number one,
The best out there.
You just assume that that's like
changing. tell everyone.
Yeah. And that needs to be number one. But Brandon, let's start with podcasts first. Is there any in particular that you like?
I really like Dan Martell's podcast.
Oh yeah. No, we love Dan. I'm just messing. Everyone. I just talked to a guy in the UK like 10 minutes ago. It's like, oh, I heard about y'all from Dan Martell. I'm like, I can't go anywhere. Like I'm in a restaurant, like getting like, oh, this was a great steak. It's like, yeah, Dan Martell it is.
Yeah, Dan's got a really good podcast.
He does, yeah.
Content, so the key is to continue to educate yourself. And I think most of our Simple Numbers clients do a really good job at this. And, 15, 20 minutes a day, just like whether you're working out or whatever it may be, you got to work that mind. You kind of get that muscle to grow as well. I would say this: avoid trying to, every time you listen to a podcast, even ours, going back that week and implementing everything you heard. Because what happens to your team is they're like, oh, Mike heard this on a podcast. Here we go again. We're going to work on it for 2 weeks, and then we're going to be on to the next thing and the next thing, next thing. Your team feels like a ping pong ball. But, listen to it, take notes, have a plan as those items present themselves to work on inside your business. Go back to your notes and what have you, and kind of come through it. And so, can be really great resource. And I think, like I said, most folks do take advantage of that as far as that's concerned.
I got one. I actually got a few. I'm just going to take over here. Brendan's voice is
tough.
Two people that I know real well, influential personal brand podcast. That is Rory and AJ Vaden with Brand Builders. They have lots of good guests on there talking about personal branding and building sort of that piece of yourself, and obviously from everything that they've done with books and their clients and stuff like that. It's a great one. The next one is Acquiring Minds. It's about buying businesses, and sort of what's gone into that, what people look for and things like that. Very cool. Podcast, for example, the most recent episode is The Joy and Pain of Buying a Tech Business, right? Like that's the most recent one they got on there. That's stacking small acquisitions to 5 million in revenue. Like they got things like that on there to talk about. And then personally, I really like I'm Mind Pump for like fitness and stuff like that. So a lot of you on here and hard chargers like to work out and listen to some fitness stuff. These guys are pretty good at giving you a good angle on everything because there's lots of jargon out there. And things like that. And then for me, I listen to the Dallas Cowboy podcast, and I usually just weep and cry, and already not looking forward to this year. But Alabama used to hold me up, Brandon. It used to hold me up through this.
This all crumbled.
And so
I'll throw in another one on the personal side that I really like. It's called the Monday Morning Cup of Inspiration. It's not really a podcast, but it's 10 minutes every Monday morning from a guy named Dr. Kevin Elko. He's a friend of mine and is probably the world renowned, if you look at all his Super Bowl rings that he has, mental coach for top athletic programs. And so he takes a lot of that and translates it to the business world and your personal life too. So it's the Monday Morning Cup of Inspiration. You go to drelko.com to sign up for that one.
This is the next one's a tough one, man, because I'm difficult. The reading. Like books, right? Like, man, I can barely read. Remember, I was in the Army. We talked about this. But Brandon taught me to read a few years ago. He was like, Mike, we need to teach you how to read.
We got to work on this one.
Yeah. And so I can do math, right? I can do that. I just can't read very well. So I have to have someone read me the book. So I have to do audio books. When I first started here, audiobooks weren't as big when I first started here. And, Greg's got this book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to read Simple Numbers. It was right after he wrote it. And I'm like, man, I was sweating it out, man. I mean, it was tough. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to make me read this book. But seriously, one of the big ones we talked about right now, speaking of Dan Martell, is Buy Back Your Time. If you're a business owner, great book to read. There's really lots of things. I'm looking through my audio book.
The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is the one I'm reading right now.
Oh, nice one.
Part of our Simple Numbers book club. Really like that. Tim Grover around mindset is he trained Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and Michael Jordan. So
that's relentless.
Relentless. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Well, you've got the classic things around, John Maxwell. I think most folks are familiar with his work and what have you. Pat Lencioni, The Ideal Team Player. That's another really good one that I like. So there's a lot of them out there. Same kind of deal.
Yeah.
As with most books, there's, it's 300 pages and about 100 of them are really good. So, gravitate toward that.
Yeah, then they all come back to like the same thing. It's like, oh my gosh, like I've heard this in 10 other books. But yeah, there's usually like a good nugget in most of them with things for sure. Well, awesome, man. What else we got? Are we done for today?
We'll hit real quick. We're talking about investing outside your business on a couple things that came up, as we were discussing that concept with our clients or with our client base around just what are the simple numbers principles whenever first and foremost, I want to invest back into my business, but you do get to the point where it's like, I'm running out of ideas here. What do I do? But I do all this cash, Mike. It's a terrible problem, right? And so I'll kind of give you a few things that we talk about with our clients whenever you reach that phase, which is a pretty cool position to be into. So, the first thing is personally as an entrepreneur, it can be a risky endeavor. So, 6 months emergency fund stuck back of household expenses. So a business hits a rough time, you might have to go without compensation for a little while. I want to make sure that I'm in a good position personally. And that's somewhat of a given. It's not earth-shattering advice there. The second thing, and this is one that we get a lot of comments about, it doesn't make sense on a spreadsheet, but it makes sense emotionally, is a paid for home residence. So pay off your house. And I know what everybody's thinking. It's 3% interest. Why would I ever pay that off? Well, once again, being an entrepreneur is risky, and I want to know that come what may, I got a place to lay my head. Also, a lot of times, if your spouse is involved in that, it makes them feel good too. So, paid off house, and I got an emergency fund. We're in pretty good shape, Then you start to look at it. You kind of can decide from there. Okay, which of these angles do I want to go after first? Depending on how much capital you have. So one is that I put aside my nest egg. A majority of an entrepreneur's wealth is tied up in their business. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but do I want to diversify that a little bit? Do I want to have some cash set aside? Do I want to have some investments that are fairly liquid in the stock market that, I could even potentially annuitize at some point in time if I need a guaranteed income? So I can build up that kind of retirement savings, you might call it, outside my business. Or I get to kind of start exploring other investments. So the most popular is real estate. Entrepreneurs love real estate, nothing wrong with real estate, but you want to look at risk and return and what have you. If you're kind of thinking in that vein, one approach is the limited partnerships that pretty popular, whether that's, a fund that's investing in apartment complexes or storage units or car washes or whatever the latest fad is. PE funds, those kind of things as well. And then once you've kind of started diversifying a little bit there, you got that nest egg set aside, you're in really good shape financially. You get to kind of be, as Greg Crabtree would say, a little bit of a juvenile delinquent with investing. You can be an angel investor. You can invest in a startup. You can do some really different and cool things. And one of our favorite strategies around that is if you're going into it, maybe it's just you and one or two other people, it's kind of the meeting of what we would call the capital partner with the sweat equity partner. So maybe you've got a friend, a family member, or whatever it may be, they need $1 million to get this business off the ground. Okay, great. So I'm going to invest $1 million in the business. I'm going to be the majority owner of that business until my investment plus a return is repaid to me. And then at that point in time, I'll become a minority owner and they become the majority owner. So at that point, they put in their sweat equity to repay you for your capital plus a return. Now we're going to shift. They're going to be the majority owner. I'm going to be the more silent owner. Sure, I'll still have some ownership interest. We really like that strategy as you look at some of those investments. And so happy to talk more about that if you guys have questions on it or what have you. But, like I said, Privately held business has been proven time and time again to be one of the best wealth creation tools available. So let's use it to do that.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Well, this has been fun, Brandon. I love when we hit a bunch of different.
I do too. I think my brain tends to work that way. I like short, 2-3 minutes, really intense on a topic and move on the next.
Yeah. We just got to do that one time. Just get on here and just fight.
See how many we can cover at once?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, one more thing, everybody, while we're here, before we go, just keep in mind that, 2026 planning is probably about to get underway here as we get into Q3 and Q4. So keep that in mind we're already into Q3, but, keep that in mind for what you're looking to do. And obviously we have these podcasts, but, that's one of our main things here is obviously helping people get ready for the next year. So never hesitate to reach out to us. You need any help with 2026 planning. It's really one of our fun things to do is forecast and help our clients get ready for the next year and the exciting things to go. I know we have a lot left in this year. There's still a lot of work to be done. We're not done yet.
Start getting things in place, and if nothing else, find a way to make money on the spreadsheet for 2026.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But anyways, for Brandon, I'm Mike, and we're going to catch you next week.
See you guys.
See you.
If you want to know more about driving sustainable profitability for your business or are interested in learning more about CRI Simple Numbers, please visit our website at simplenumberscri.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Profitability Playbook, the Simple Numbers Podcast. You can subscribe to Profitability Playbook on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review. This podcast is brought to you by CRI Simple Numbers LLC, a division of CRI Capital Group LLC, and a subsidiary of CRI Advisors LLC. CRI is the trusted brand under which Carr, Riggs & Ingram LLC, the CPA firm, and CRI Advisors LLC, along with its subsidiaries, deliver professional services. Please note, Carr, Riggs & Ingram LLC is a licensed independent CPA firm offering attest services, whereas CRI Advisors LLC and its subsidiaries specialize in providing tax and business consulting services. These entities operate within an alternative practice structure as defined by the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct and comply fully with applicable laws, regulations, and professional standards. Ready to simplify your business finances and drive growth? Explore valuable resources, books, and tools designed for entrepreneurs and small businesses at simplenumberscri.com.